Good afternoon. It is a Thursday. We're heading into the weekend here. Missed a couple days. Went up fishing up on the little truckee and the big truckee with my son, which was fun. It's warm. Lake Tahoe temperatures were in the 90s yesterday. With just 88, 89, 90 degrees up around Truckee. Temperatures around the state, pretty mild, and we're going to hold with this pattern. We don't have a lot going on in terms of heat. Even in the desert Southwest, it's manageable. There is heat in parts of the country. We'll look at that. We have some fire weather alerts, red flag warnings. We have some heat advisories and things like that. We'll look at the surf. We'll look at the air quality. We'll look at the fires. Okay, we'll do it pretty, not quickly, but we'll move along. This is a little later than normal. I went and kind of had some things this morning I had to do, but here we are now. Yeah. All right, so we start off with today. These are the highs from today, which are 96 in Redding, Chico 93. In my mind, when I look at this footprint, this temperature, this isotherm map, temperature is represented by colors, but you see the numbers too. But when I see a footprint like this, the 90s, upper 80s in Sacramento, it's perfect summer weather, man. It's awesome. And when we look at the fire weather map, you're going to see that we're not really up against it too bad. I mean, fire danger high, it's California, Mediterranean climate, dry summer, blah, blah, blah. But the tender dryness, which can often be the case, is not really occurring whole scale yet. It will, and that's fine, and we're getting away with it right now, but this pattern has been awesome. So these are the highs from today. We look at the satellite image, and this is the visible, and the best thing about doing this later, this afternoon kind of weathercast, is the visible satellite. The sun's higher in the sky, right? So in the morning hours, it's a little lower, the cloud, but when it's high like this, you can see the greens that are the agriculture in the Central Valley, up in the North Valley. You can see the agriculture all the way down here. You can see a little bit of snow. Yeah, maybe no snow left, really. Those are just cumulus clouds. But you can see everything, right? And there's smoke. That's from the green fire. And the smoke is actually blowing up slope a little bit up towards the McCloud. We'll see that smoke come back in later tonight as well. But this shot out here, isn't that awesome? Look at not geometric designs, the patterns developed by the eddies of the fog being blown down the coast, right? So the winds are blowing this way. You can kind of see the movement, and then you see the swirl, not unlike the swirls you would see in a football stadium or baseball stadium. Like, you ever go to baseball games and you see the fireworks after the fireworks show or after the game or at halftime or whatever? Baseball doesn't have halftime, but you know what I mean. And the smoke does this, right? And you're like, wow, this is the same thing essentially. It's different. It's a different mechanism doing it, but it's that same look with that swirly behavior. In fact, that's what we do in that company I have, Weather Applied Metrics. We measure airflow in a stadium, and you get the airflow at times looks like this in the horizontal, right? In the vertical. And so in this case, this is vertical and horizontal, but you get the idea. Okay, awesome. Love that picture. Okay, I've been off the weather beat for a little while, so it's kind of fun to get back in. Here is the right now fog. You can see some little bit of clearing trying to show up at it. That would be, you know what? That's Tennessee Valley. That's probably Muir Beach area right over here. You can see the bugs on the lens. They're not moving. I hope they're okay. And then you can see the shallower marine layer. Not a lot of depth in the marine layer right now, but enough kind of lower pressure around. Enough of this kind of stuff around. Those little vorticity maximums that are sliding in under the ridge. So the ridge of high pressure, you see the black lines, right? It's harder to find. It gets a little less defined this time of year, the jet stream. But it's a slight ridge over us. But underneath that ridge are these low pressure areas that are kind of continuing to keep us mild, it's giving us more of a robust onshore flow, as it weakens that high, and it just does a nice job. And what you're looking for now, or maybe you're not, what I'm looking for now is, when does this jet stream pop up with a clean ridge where there's not a lot of stuff underneath it? That's when we're really going to heat up. So we go through time. You see how these dual spinners here, right? And they're kind of going, we're disturbing the high. And then the trough. See, then not only are they there, this one gets absorbed into the jet stream. This one retrogrades, but you see the trough starting to sink in. This is on Sunday morning. So first of all, I just showed you what this all this right here from today to Sunday, all that's basically what we're seeing today. So more of the same. And then this is when subtlety becomes like, yeah, it's subtle. And then you see that trough trying to dig. That's a pretty cool little pattern. The trough being, right, here's the ridge pumping up, trough here, and then the ridge pumps on the other side. Troughs dig, pops the ridge up in front. Ridge gets high amplitude, it presses down. So they react with each other. So that's the jet stream, and it drops down. So what am I showing you? I'm belaboring it, but I want you to see, yeah, you know what? That ridge is hanging around, and they're literally, that's the closest thing to heat right there, and that is July 30th. And even then, it's maybe in the Central Valley, east side. But either way, I would say the next 7-8 days, I'd say average, below average temperatures, which is perfect. North American model, and this is showing us temperature. And what we're going to look at here is the footprint. Let's see if I can roll it this way. So this is this afternoon. And what you'll see is, you see that bite, see the cool on the coast, and just how far inland it is. And then these are hundreds here. These are 80s and 90s, low and mid 90s in the Central Valley. That's the forecast high for today, this afternoon, which I think that verifies nicely. We'll push through to tomorrow. You can go through the night. It cools off overnight too. Sacramento's been getting into the 50s. Here is tomorrow afternoon. Really, look how far that cool air goes inland into Vacaville, in Southern California, right? A good push of cool air. There's some heat, there's lots of 70s along the coast, but right, for my money, this model, this is a forecast, is showing this pattern. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, this shows this pattern hanging on. Let me do this. Hanging on for a bunch of time, right? So say there it goes again. So that's the afternoon. That's Friday afternoon. This is, or that was Saturday afternoon, pardon me. This is Sunday morning, and then this is Sunday afternoon. So more of the same. In the North Valley, I mean, Redding, you guys are buying a break, man. As far as the smoke, it is still there. We'll talk about the fires coming up. We've got the forecast highs for tomorrow. These look a lot like the highs from today. They're very similar, maybe a degree warmer. But anytime you log a 61 or 91 degrees in Sacramento in July, yeah, that's a good day, man. So we've got really nice weather, really nice weather. It doesn't mean we won't have fire starts, but it means if we do have fire starts, which we've been having really through the last week or so, they squish them out really quick, good, without a big wind, without the tinder dry situation. So some good news there on the fire front. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, just means it's a better opportunity for us to at least get on it if it does happen. So here is the James Fire, which is large, but they have containment on it. They're up to 16% containment at a 16,000 acre fire. And what I'll say about the Green Fire, these are evacuation zones, is I love the way they're handling it. I mentioned it a little bit a couple days ago, but it's Forest Service and CAL FIRE, and they're working together beautifully, number one. But number two, I haven't heard this stated directly, but it does appear that they're using this as a bit of a controlled burn. Now, I may be wrong on this, but I don't think I am. I think that they know the weather forecast. I think that they know this terrain. They have the manpower. And so they're burning and letting these fires burn into these basins that haven't burned in a while that need to be cleaned out. And I think it's probably, it's brave, but it's not better than, I think that risk of doing that, which the risk would be a big wind come up or something like that, and they'd have this big fire. But they know, do they know what they're doing? But the big risk is to not do this, to put it out and then have all this dead wood around surrounded by forest land that hasn't burned in a long time. And so what they're doing is this is I view that as a controlled burn, and I think it's the smartest. I've seen it before. I've just never really brought it up before, and I'm not an expert. I may be wrong, but it feels like they're doing a controlled burn. Yeah, it creates smoke. Yeah, that's a drag. There are risks, but I think the risks are far outweighed by what could potentially happen if they don't do this. So to me, it marks a bit of a progression and the way the Forest Service and CAL FIRE, Forest Service especially has always been like this. They're very aware, and CAL FIRE now as well they're working together. And the way they're managing this fire to me is a good sign for the future, because it just means that they're gonna start looking at this as opportunities to put down the potential for a bigger fire. Okay, I had a good couple of days. I took bill fishing. That was sick. Warm day up there. What else I do? Not much else. I got nothing going on. I must have something going on. Gonna go see Grandpa tomorrow. Gonna go surf tomorrow. There's a little bit of swell. I feel like I should have something going on. I don't. I mean, I do, but I don't. Okay, so air quality, and you can see the fire zone, which is not as bad as it has been. But these reds and purples, less than what you want to see. A lot of good air quality around the state, and this again has to do with the winds, the onshore flow that we have, the cooler air. Sacramento's not getting stagnant. We got a good flush of an onshore wind. And it looks really, air quality looks really good. Even across the country, that Canadian smoke, let this load up, that Canadian smoke has died down a little bit. There is some upper level smoke, but East Coast, West Coast, everything looks pretty good for July. And this is the fire smoke. This is from Round Mountain. Looking up, this is right now. I can pull it up. This is really almost right in the fire zone. But look at this stuff. I mean, this is the last 6 hours. And you can see the smoke in the morning. It sits down, and then it'll start to raise up again this afternoon. There it goes. And at some point, this camera is going to get some clearing. I'll bet it does tonight at some point. But this is Round Mountain, up around, kind of looking towards, I think you're looking towards Redding at this. A little bit, Redding? No, a little north of Redding. But either way, that's the smoke that we've been seeing. This is looking down towards Red Bluff and Chico, the coastal range back here. And the air quality, much better. Not as, icky, if you will, as it has been. Because it's been kind of a thing, right? Especially if you live, I was stressing during that period when we had the heat a couple of days ago, and then we had all the really bad smoke. And I'm like looking at Redding going with air quality in the purple, right, which is bad, and it's 106 degrees. I mean, how unhealthy is that for you, man? So here is a smoke model. This starts today, and you just see, the white clear stuff is really just high level smoke. The darker oranges would represent smoke closer to the ground, but it looks pretty manageable. Yeah, nothing. I don't see anything big. The national map is showing some heat. We do have red flag warnings up in here, red flag warnings in here, flood advisories in southern Nevada and parts of Utah and parts of Arizona. More flood warnings here. Some air quality stuff. Most of that air quality stuff will stem from the fires up near the Grand Canyon. You got air quality stuff up by Klamath Falls north into Burns. And then you've got, this is severe heat. This is extreme heat warning. And these are heat advisories. That covers a lot of people. Heat advisories here. And then you've got some rainfall and flooding concerns. Texas finally getting a bit of a break, but a lot of heat in the east half of the country. And these are the forecast sites. I don't often show you this map, but I probably should show it to you more. Let's try to move it over a little bit. This is the forecast for tomorrow. So today's temperature is not much different, but you see the heat, right? You see the 99 degrees, the 90 in Dallas, the 86 in Houston. I mean, 96 in San Antonio. Let's think about that. 96, 60% humidity, or I don't know what the humidity is. It's probably close to that. Maybe even it's only 50%. That's gnarly. So really a lot of heat in this section of the country. Even Boston's going to come in at 81 degrees tomorrow. 98 in Medford for us. So these are the forecast highs. So it's pretty hot across the country, except on the West Coast where we have that nice cool pattern. And that cool pattern, when we looked at it on the computer model, is being reflected in the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook given to us by the National Weather Service. And this is what they're expecting. So from July 23rd to July 27th, we're looking at the potential for below average temperatures, which makes sense when you think about, we look at the vorticity map. And then precipitation, just for chucks and giggles. That's interesting, right? You know what that's from? Remember that trough I showed you on, like, I don't want to go back to it. I was going to pull the model back up, but that really deep trough that was digging, let's just do it. I'm going to do it. This is brave, 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 brave. Okay, so let's see. This trough right there. So somewhere on the Monday the 21st, this dip is what they're putting this potential for rain in right here. That's what that is, that dip. That's an onshore flow. That's an unstable pattern. It's going to be cooler, what we'll notice, most of us cooler, but perhaps, in this case, Eureka, Crescent City, Dillonort County, Coos Bay, Oregon, Seattle might see some scattered showers. So that'd be cool. Boy, you know how much that would help? Especially since it's not a convective system. It looks like an extratropical system, which would reduce the opportunity for thunder and lightning. So wouldn't that be nice to get a quarter inch of rain, half inch of rain in here and just extend the fire season out a little bit? Okay, this is Pacifica. Love this shot. The fog, you can see breaks in the clouds, the marine layer trying to break up. Very, very fun day to be learning to surf. And the fun thing about surfing is, when I started, we didn't really have wetsuits. They were just coming out, but they weren't great, right? And so you'd go out there was nobody out there. You'd freeze your buns off. And surfing was a really I was telling my son this when we were camping. I was like, dude, I go, you don't get it, man. Surfing used to be very, it was a real adventure. Like, it still is, but I mean, it was like, because we didn't know, because there was nobody surfing really, not many people. There were, but not like now. And they were all pretty rough dudes and women. It was a tough crowd. It was no wetsuits, no leashes, and you wouldn't see a lot of people in the water, learners. You were in the water, you were a baller, right? And now, because of wetsuits, and they've gotten so, they're like wearing yoga pants, for Christ's sake. They're so comfortable and they're so warm that everybody's in the water, and the mystery is kind of gone. You're like, there's white sharks all over the place, but they don't care about you. That's why there's people surfing out there. I mean, I know people, I've seen whites in Ocean Beach, but I've never seen a white shark in Pacifica, but I know guys who have. And so my point being, the sport's changed a lot, and it's fun to see these people get in the water, because these are people, when I was back in the 70s was surfing, you wouldn't have seen in the water because of the wetsuit thing, because of a lot of things, because of the fear. There still is, but there was a lot, especially in Northern California, there was a lot of fishermen surfers were fishermen, and the fishermen would see white sharks all the time offshore. So we assumed they were everywhere. And because there weren't that many of us, we were like, when you paddle in the water, you really kind of go, this could be it. I know it sounds weird, right? But it really was that way. And now it's still, I wouldn't call it dangerous, but there's a chance a shark could come in and nip somebody. But most likely not. There's sharks right in here. I guarantee it. They're right here, further out. And they're like, whatever. They don't care. They don't want anything to do with us. I covered a lot of ground right there, right? But my point was, I know what I was going to say, is the people that learn, like this guy right here, watch this, he's going to get up right on his tummy. He's stoked. He's stoked. He's stoked. Yes, right? Awesome. Now, he goes home tonight. He's tired. He's becoming fitter. He'll think about that wave, and he'll think about, maybe next time I'll do this, or I'll try this. And it's the excitement and the exhilaration you see in new surfers is really, it's intoxicating, because it reminds me of when I was a new surfer. And since there's so many people now, you can't fight it. You just got to be stoked for them, right? Because they're discovering something that's awesome. This is Trestles, which they were calling 6 to 8 feet today. I mean, it looks lumpy for sure. I could see maybe 6 feet. I didn't see any 8 foot, but the wind's on a little bit. These guys, by the way, this is a different deal here. These guys are all real. Generally, if you're going to Trestles and you're on that first peak, you're an alpha male, alpha female, alpha they them thing. I always get that wrong. I'm not being disrespectful. I just like you're gonna be the alpha. That's what you're gonna be, the alpha surfer, and because that's a big time wave. South Lake Tahoe, South Lake. Funny little thing. We used to, when I was starting out, South Lake kind of seemed, we used to ski a lot in the 60s, but South Lake was I always thought it was kind of ghetto because of the because of the casinos. Well, I just get us the wrong word, kind of just not nice because it was a little surly, and the North Shore was a little more nuts and berries and granola. But the South Shore over the last 20 or 30 years is really just, it's a beautiful. They've done such a nice job because gambling is sort of a right. It does bring in a different crowd. It brings in a different crowd. But they're not really catering to gambling anymore, you know, which is they're catering to skiers on Heavenly. They're catering to mountain bikers and hikers and so on and so forth. So this area has become, I think, really nice. That's just my remembrance, and I'm not no disrespect to the South Lake Tahoe, but the general perception back in the late 60s, early 70s was kind of like, yeah, maybe late 70s. It was kind of, the gambling thing was kind of weird for us because before. It was before the lottery and basically gambling being legalized. Here are Jellyfish. I think we covered it all today, man. I think we did. I hope you're having a good day. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Sorry I didn't say I did say goodbye. I think I said I was going to be gone for a couple days. I do miss doing weather when I'm not doing it because it's like I was off the grid for a while and I didn't have a cell phone or anything, which is awesome. But then you want to check and see how I kept trying to figure out what the green fire was doing, right? Where it was and where the smoke was coming from. But then you just have to let go. You just have to let go of it all, which was kind of nice too. These are the Jellyfish, and they're awesome. This is Mount Shasta, which is awesome. Better day for smoke, right? You can see the smoke down here. This is closer to the fires back over here that's McLeod area. McLeod's over here somewhere, and the fire's back in here, a little further to the right, if you will, or to the south. These are some big fish, man. This is salmon on the Brooks River, Brooks Falls. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that amazing? Like if you've been paying any attention, it's a salmon run, right? The bears are out here too. We've seen plenty of bears. But the salmon, it's interesting to me how they pulse. And what I'm seeing here, it seems like the fish are bigger. So I wonder if, maybe you know this, because the first few weeks we were watching this, the fish were smaller, definitely smaller. These are bigger fish jumping, and noticeably bigger. Let's see if we can find a bear. There's bad TV always, but the other day I opened up, there we go, it's a bear. Oh yeah, that's it. Somebody's working the camera. So this is about an hour ago, I think. Cubs, brown bears again. Remember, not grizzlies, but browns, bigger than grizzlies. Gosh, awesome, huge heads on these guys. And they do like I do at Christmas. They're just going to eat as much as they can to get through the winter, because I'm not going to get much food in February. That's beautiful. All right, and then got puffins. Right, we'll go out on puffins. So thanks for tuning in. Tell a friend, it'd be awesome. Tell me what you need, what you're not getting. I'm really working hard at doing the weather off the top. So you go, okay, what's the hits, runs, and errors? And then we can look at birds and look at even stuff like the national map. I think that's all secondary. I think what you need is your forecast. And your forecast is more of the same for basically the state of California. Not much has changed. Southern California, you're getting the same boat, man. You're gonna have a little bit of fog, but they'll be clearing almost every day. We've got Sacramento not in the 100s, but in the upper 80s, maybe low 90s through the next few days. Somewhere down the road in about a week, things will change around. We'll warm up a little bit, and we'll talk then. But right now, it's a perfect summertime pattern for California and the Bay Area. All right, thanks for tuning in. Tell a friend. If you leave a comment, I'd love that. If you're still here, that's what we'll do. If you're still here, who are you, man? If you are still here, though, write a comment. Because if there's only one of you, I'll be stoked, too. But, yeah, write a comment. Go, I was here till the end. And I heard you say, Puffins rule. Puffins rule. That's how I know you were here. I know, right? Okay, see you back here.